Hello friends, welcome back to Musings by Mascha, and with that to the continuation of the Top Tarot Trumps series, with this installment being the Judgment Cards throughout history. And this video will be followed by my top 5 Judgment Cards in a few days video, where I will talk to you about my understanding of Arcanum 20 also. But today it's all about chatting about the earliest representations of the Judgment card in tarot and the progression of this trump throughout the last, almost 6 centuries. You are here for the Judgment cards, my friends. You are most likely to already be familiar with the format of the top tarot trumps throughout history, and we begin today as per usual now with the earliest known Judgment card, the earliest surviving Judgment card, which comes from the Visconti Madrone tarot, also popularly known as the Carrie Visconti. It's important to take a note that in the earlier Renaissance Italy, this card was called the Angel, not Judgment, and it also had more weight than the World card. So, for example, in Bolognese tarot tradition, the World card actually preceded the Angel or Judgment card, with the latter being the last trump in those decks, the decks of Bolognese tradition. And this is just an example from one of the mass market Bolognese tarocchi that I have in my collection, as I don't have the earlier reproductions of the earlier historic decks of Bolognese lineage in my tarot collection yet. And as the card order goes, the Angel, as I have just mentioned, used to finish the trumps of the major arcana. And I'm just giving an example of the Bolognese tarot tradition, but I trust there were a few other decks where the World card came before the Angel, so the Angel or Judgment had more weight than the World card. Now, returning back to the Visconti Madrone tarot from the first half, actually, of the 15th century, and this beautiful version that I'm showing, as you can see, the colors are beautiful, and you can see it's a late paper, it's a handmade version by Marco Benedetti. So this card is very beautiful artistically to me. And here we are with 2 dressed angels taking up the top space in the card, where the bottom part depicts 3 humans, visually, 2 of them visually naked, but 3 rising up from the tombs, with this 4th person likely to be Jesus Christ or some saint. Well, the person is dressed, and usually it's a saint or some kind of celestial being, or related to the heavenly realm and the gods. So yeah, this person overlooking their resurrection. In fact, I find title of Arcanum 20 is not really congruent with neither the images that we see in most tarot decks, nor the attributions we assign to what we know the Judgment card, as if we are here for the fair justice to be distributed, whether karmic or just basic rewards for good actions and punishment for the bad, we already have justice cards in the sequence of our major arcana. In the justice card, we see the act of judgment, right, distribution of justice, weighing of justice. and yeah, I'll be curious to hear whether you agree. But as for the judgment card in tarot as we know it, nobody is really getting judged in this trump, in the image, but rather here people are awakened by the trumping angel or angels in some cases, and they're more resurrecting from the dead as they rise out of their tombs. So if Christianity inclined, as we are here with very Christian Europe, Catholic Church doctrine of those times that we have the earliest tarot decks from, we are in those cards more with the image of resurrection before last judgment. And of course we can refer to this card as last judgment, which of course follows this image if we're talking iconography. I mean, the concept of last judgment is present in not just Christianity, but in Islam and Judaism, neither of which I personally follow, but I'm familiar with all three through my theology studies and with Christianity, of course, having grown up with my Orthodox Christian granny. Plus, here we are, of course, with the medieval and later Renaissance times when people were truly fearful of last judgment following their death, well, 40 days right after their death. But let's move on. So in Charles VI, this is the representation of judgment from the so-called Charles VI tarot. We actually here with seven nude figures rising from their tombs. Some are rejoicing with their arms up in the air, raised up towards the angels, where some are shown with their arms crossed and presented visibly fearful or even avoiding the gazes from the angels. And just like in the Madrona, in Wisconsin Madrona, we are here with two angels. Now, this is the judgment card from the Visconti Sforza tarot. Not original image though, but still 15th century, but this image was done just as our heavenly body cards, celestial cards, the previous three cards that we talked about in this series. This card is done by a later artist. In this image, we are with a crowned older man with the white beard, positioned either above the clouds or in heavens, we can assume. And this man is holding a sword and an orb. The Christian god he perhaps is, and the assumption is just the assumption I'm making, having seen the iconography and Renaissance paintings of resurrection and last judgment. So two angels, once again, they are on either side of him, blowing into their trumpets, and the people rising from the tomb are looking towards the above with visibly those of hope. So yes, two angels, as we've seen here, right, in the last three cards in the hand-painted, illuminated tarots. And as we are moving into the woodblock sheets, the Budapest and Rosenwald, both versions are restorations by Sullivan Hismans of Tarot Sheet Revival. So we have lost here one angel, right? So it's only each of these cards represented only by one angel with the trumpet. Yet, for most part, the earlier model, as we have just seen, it survives. The angel is winged, dressed, and the people are rising from their tombs. Again, it just depends, I guess, on the representation. More than two figures or two figures in the Rosenwald. If we talk about the patterns in judgment cards, not that much, as we already kind of have seen, and of course we know what judgment cards look like in popular decks, right? So not so much significantly changed from these 15th century times all the way through the early 20th century, even 20th century RWS, but that's me getting ahead of myself. Let's go to France now. I myself certainly hope to go back to France in the next 2-3 years. And of course, by now you're familiar with the images or the decks that represent mid-17th century, mid-1650s France, the earliest of them being the Anonymous Tarot of Paris and the later one being Jean Noblet Tarot, but we're talking about roughly mid-1600s, plus minus 15-20 years between them. And once again, looking at this card, there is not much new to say about the patterns that we recognize in these three cards, with them being now, well, Vivial doesn't have title, but Marseille Tarot and Anonymous Tarot of Paris, now we are given title Judgment to these two cards flanking the one representation from the Vivial Tarot. And of course, Jean Noblet is one of the earlier decks that represents a Marseille Tarot tradition. Yet, well, you know me, there are a few differences which I, of course, think is worth noting. Well, for those of us who like to geek out on historic tarots, so in the Vivial and Noblet tarots, we have the angel appearing behind this kind of fluffy cloud, not in Tarot of Paris though. And then we have a flag with a cross also added to the trumpet of our angel in the sky. Cross, of course, can be linked to the cross of Christ and is often seen as a victory over death, as of course we can presumably read in the images in the Jacques Vivial and Jean Noblet tarots. And then we have this magnificent card, the angel from Giuseppe Michele Tarocchi, dating around 1660. This card certainly lives to the original title of our today's arcanum, being the angel, and what a superbly executed etching it is by Michele, colored much later, of course. And these now three cards, they are from the iconic Marseille tarots. So once again, a familiar pattern that is shared between these three cards. The angel appearing from behind the rather kind of spirally cloud with the trumpet, to which a flag with a cross is once again attached. The interesting feature to ponder in the classic Marseille Tarot, though, and pay attention to perhaps, is this middle person, with their bodies being the color of this fluffy cloud, where the other two people in each of these cards are represented with, well, healthy human complexion. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on that middle person of the color of the cloud. This wonderfully, in my view, executed card is from Adam C. Atau Tarot of Rouen, Brussels tradition, in which I find this particular skeleton absolutely adorable, and the colors in this card are delightful. Sullivan Hismans, the person who restored this tarot, is a master of his craft when it comes to the revival of historic tarot decks. This example of judgment is from Giacomo Zoni Bolognese tarot of the end of 18th century. And my next judgment, well, it's an alternative to the judgment card by the renowned French occultist Etela. Well, Etela is a pseudonym of Jean-Baptiste Alliette. So we are here with the last 10-11 years of the 18th century. And the people in this card, they are fully or partially clothed, and the scene itself, color-wise, is rather very bright, with the people raising, or most of the people raising their arms up towards the angel, who actually has 3 trumpets all to themselves. This person on the right is seemingly in mourning, with the hands over their face, and the number that Eteia allocated to this card in his deck was number 16, and I'm talking about Grand Etela Tarot. Here is the judgment card from the Besançon style Jacques Abjurga tarot, and with this tarot we are now in the beginning of the 19th century already, and this woodblock image is from the late 19th century Gassman Tarot de Marseille. I'm bringing it in, it's very Tarot de Marseille, but this is a tarot of Swiss origin. Again, light blue cloud, light blue middle person. Now let's have a look at a few representations of key 20 from the tarots of Italian tradition. In Tarocco Neoclassico from the early 19th century, the figures here are rising from the burning flames. The pattern that does exist in a number of tarot decks actually were in Sopraffino tarot. Well, this is the ancient Italian tarot, which is the version of Sopraffino by Avondo brothers, and Piedmontese example from Piedmontese tarot, and of course Vacchetta tarot. No flames in these Italian decks, but people are arising from their graves. And with that, we have now reached the times of the occultist Oswald Wirth, with the earlier and later versions of his Wirth tarot. Once again, these images are modeled after Tarot de Marseille, only that the middle person is in flesh, but not in the color of the cloud of the angel. And we are here also with the addition of Hebrew letter Dalet. I trust, or is it Kaf? I trust it's Dalet. Now in RWS, I'm running out of space here today, in different location I'm filming. So yeah, in Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, the angel looks visibly zoomed in right towards us, and the people here, the background people, they're almost a mirror image of the 3 characters that we see in the front of the cards, with these people being of gray color. I guess we can assume in the RWS, in the more occult tarots, we are here on a level of a soul with these people colored like so. In the vibrantly colored version of the 1946 Chebossoi tarot, we are with a more kind of mountainous landscape, with a person on the right actually rising out of their grave and moving towards us. And with the Judgment card renamed from memory, this deck is I trimmed all the border adjustment in Thoth Tarot. This card now concludes the history part of this video, my friends. Let me now share with you just a few representations of Arcanum 20 from the contemporary decks, beginning with these Judgment cards from the Golden Botticelli Tarot, the tarot which is done using the artwork by Sandro Botticelli. This card is from Marsiglia Tarot, illustrated by the late Osvaldo Menigazzi. This tarot is based or inspired by the Swiss tradition, and here once again, although created much later, right, somewhere I think 80s, late 1980s, 90s, by the Osvaldo Menigazzi, who was the founder of Il Minighello. So here we once again see people rising out of the flames. A few more examples here from the Ehrenberg Tarot, Pagan Other Worlds, the Gentle Tarot, and then we have this card, which is renamed Gabriel, from the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mysteries, Archangel Gabriel representing judgment. Then we have the Judgment cards from the Venetian Tarot by Eugene Vinitsky, which features, of course, the locations in the beautiful Venice, the Sun and Moon Judgment, and of course Sun and Moon Tarot is heavily based on Thoth Tarot, the very popular Light Seers Tarot. That's the very vibrant again Judgment. And this card is from New Era Element deck. From this card we might read either self-reflection or perhaps even self-judgment actually, or just the readiness to waking up to things, how things really are. This image featuring Buddha instead of an angel, Torii Gates, the Fuji mountain, is from the Sakura Spring Tarot. And this last image is from my own deck, and I used my Soli when he was small, Akitano, when I was creating this deck, as my inspiration here. I actually do have two options for just Judgment cards in my deck, and I will talk more about my thoughts behind these cards in my next video, where I will be featuring my favorite representations of Judgment cards. And I will be limiting myself to 5 only. I hope, my friends, you enjoyed this relatively lengthy, once again, walk through the representations of Judgment cards in Tarot Throughout Centuries. I apologize for the glare on the little table I have, but limited time, limited space, and I'm not filming from home, I'm filming from another location, so I hope the bit of a glare from the window here is not too much distraction, but I wanted to get this video out. I will be back over the weekend weekend from home with my favorites and my thoughts behind judgment cards and my understanding of Arcanum 20. But meanwhile, I would love to hear which of the cards I featured today stood out to you from the contemporary tarots that I picked to take with me for this video, from the historic ones, a number of historic cards you have seen. Please do let me know in comments below which card stood out to you today. I'm sending much love to you all. I thank you so very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you back here on Musings by Mascha this weekend. Bye for now.